Okay, good morning and welcome at Solita for our crash course around data products. Today we will give you an introduction into data products and give also some real-life examples on how Solita helped our customers implementing data products. I'm Maarten. I've been working for over 15 years at Solita in data and integration, and I'm here today with my colleague Annelies.
So I am leading the business unit design and strategy, focusing really on the way of working and on aligning on getting our customers to get real value out of data. And
we are Solita, and so we are a Finnish company, but we are present in over 9 countries in Europe, and we have expertise in, of course, data, but also in connectivity, cloud, design, etc. So data products, before we dive into it, we take a step back and look why data products are helping businesses today in resolving their data questions. And if we look back before, typically data and analytics were centrally managed in business intelligence teams, BI teams, and that went perfect until some things happened. The demand increased, basically. Before we had maybe a couple of reports, typically sales, finance, that needed to be there and with good quality data once a month, once a quarter, every year, etc. But then more questions from business came. I need more frequent performance data around the different business domains. I need more frequent in terms of days, but then also questions around real-time data. I want to have on-the-spot insights on my data. More different use cases came as well into the picture around machine learning, AI, and businesses want to explore data themselves, want to have more self-service abilities in order to access data, and so on. So a lot of problems occurred with that setup. With that centrally managed team that got all these questions, it took a long time to deliver use cases, very long time to market. More business domains asked questions. That means more data from these business domains came to that central team, and the cognitive load of these central teams becomes very high. They need to understand what all that data means from a whole company. So that's obviously not possible, and that also leads to poor data quality. If you do not fully understand what the data is, it's also difficult to assess its quality. Then also it became less and less clear what data and what data assets were existing in companies. What reports do we have? What data is there? What can we do with it, etc. Becomes very difficult if there is a vast growing data in the company. And then if we look at the technology side as well, a lot of things moved over the last years also, and these data teams needed to keep up with technology changes, innovation, ML, AI, which came on top of their other work and very, very hard to manage, obviously. Before, we've tried to overcome these problems by scaling the technology, scaling the data platforms. We moved from on-prem to the cloud. We moved from rigid data warehouses to data lakes. But these problems that was not a solution to the previously mentioned problems. So instead of scaling the technology, let's try to scale the organization. And the first step that we took there is, let's move the data, let's try to be agile in the way we approach the data. And one step there is, let's move the data ownership back to the domains where it belongs. It makes more sense that a domain that produces the data also owns that data, instead of producing it and then throwing it over the hedge back to the central BI team. Giving back the ownership to the business domains brings back the responsibility and the control of that data to these domains, to the ones that produce it. that makes sense because your subject matter expertise, the knowledge of your data, sits within these domains. And therefore, the people that own that data can better assess the quality, can better improve the quality of that data. And that will lead to better data insights and better decision making for your whole organization. Now, doing only that, pushing back the data to the domains, might lead to a new set of risks, a new set of problems. If you push it all back to the domains, you risk of creating silos, isolated data. Every business domain works on its own data and does not really share what it's doing with other domains because they don't know how. They lack the technical expertise of making that data available throughout the organization. And it's also not possible to, for example, to put data engineers or to have data engineers in all the business domains. Also, if you want to have, we want to have some policies around our data, how to approach it, how to secure it, how to manage it, which is, that will also, just by pushing the ownership to the domains, you will lack a centrally governed frame, you lack a centrally data governance. Before we move into the solution, which are data products, we will also have a case study that will help understand and put the theory into practice.
Yeah, so today during this presentation, we will actually walk you through a case study of a B2B retail company that wanted to become data-driven and really saw it as a full part of their overall strategy to go for a digital and an ERP transformation. So, but to build that new landscape, this new suite of cloud-based application that required as well a new approach to data. And not only a technical shift, but it was a real socio-cultural shift to help the business to embrace that change, ways of working and thinking about data. So this new suite also required a complete new solution architecture, and they realized to have that growth available, to be on top of competition and decision-making power, they also had to have the possibility for future consumption patterns like advanced behavior analytics, predictive maintenance, machine learning. So that also required to focus on a new architecture as well. So as well, they wanted to really say that data in our company is a real asset. So ensuring that they have consistent data, accurate data, and that they can empower all the teams around the organization with reliable insights. So this really led them to explore the idea of organizing data into well-defined data products. So Maarten, can you tell us then, what are data products exactly?
Yes, I can. Let's start with trying to pour it into one definition. A data product is a reliable and reusable data asset that's easy to access and manage and has a data product owner. It's created, documented and shared to meet the needs of specific data users or use cases. And its main goal is to provide valuable business domain data and insights. Very long definition, and now the goal of the further crash course is to get a bit deeper into these details and explore what data products actually are and what they can do and how we will set that up and how to start with data products. So a data product, usually represented as a hexagon, comes from the hexagonal architectural pattern, which is a software architecture pattern that is designed with ports and adapters and loosely coupled components. And for the data products also we have a default of minimum 2 ports, an input and an output port that act as the interfaces for the data. We'll talk about more on ports and in detail what they are later in the crash course. But a data product differs from a data asset that it's approaching data as a product. And what does that mean? Is that it comes with a set of characteristics, specifications and principles that makes it easy to use and to share that data within an organization. So let's have, first of all, a closer look what these principles and specifications are. So first, and maybe most important, a data product must have a data product owner or an owner. Somebody, preferably in the business domain, that takes the ownership of that data product. In reality, that is not always possible to put every data product owner inside the business domain. So in a hybrid approach or in a scale-up phase, when you move to the larger ecosystem of data products, you can still decide to put that data ownership, that data product owner, in, for example, a BI domain. If you have enough business knowledge in particular domains, you can decide temporarily to put the ownership there, but it is important that every data product has an owner that users can refer to if they have particular questions. These questions are on the functional side, not on the technical side. Also more on that later. Data products are having FAIR principles, what it's called. So it's findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. Findable, it means that every data product in your organization should somehow be found by your potential consumers. Can be through a data catalog that collects all the information of the data products and share in an understandable language for business users what that data product means, what you can do with it, how you can use it, etc. Same for accessibility, goes a bit deeper on that. If a user or consumer decides to use that data product, it should be, if that person is not tech savvy, it should be easy to understand what that data product means. So you should have clear interfaces, you should have well-documented data products, etc., so that it's easy to access, to start using those data products. Interoperable means that you want to build an ecosystem of data products, so they should be able to talk to each other on a technical level. For example, if you have all your outputs in a JSON format, you should be able to, that if you use them in combination together, that one data product can speak to that other data product using that same JSON language. And that also leads to the last one, the reusability. You want to make sure that you create data products, that they can be used many times within the organization, that you do not duplicate your data or your data products. For example, if you decide to make a customer data product, this is typically an asset that will be used in many business domains, and you create it only once so that you have that reusability and build out your ecosystem in that way, and lower the costs of your total data products ecosystem. These are the principles for the data products usage. If you look at more the technical principles that come with a data product, we see that the data product obviously needs to be secure. We talk about data here, so you need to take into account that only people allowed to see or to consume your data products can. You also want to make sure that they're reliable. That goes with, you want to make sure that the data product itself contains complete data, accurate data, fresh data. And then the observability part is, if some of these principles are not met, we want to know upfront. We don't want the situation that happens today a lot of time, that your business comes back to the central team or to the data owner and says, I'm looking at the report and I know it's not correct. You want, as a data product owner, you want to know this information up front, so your observability makes this, that you can monitor your data product well enough to see if there are quality issues, if there are health issues, etc. And then we go into more the IT side of data products as well. We want to make sure that it has a life cycle, that you can design, develop, test, deploy all your data products, and decommission eventually if you don't no longer using them, that you can version data products. All of these aspects are in the operability, deployability, and making sure that you can build out that ecosystem in a scalable way. Maybe you start small with one data product, but the data grows, the data products grows in your ecosystem, and we want to make sure that that still is possible to deliver all the necessary information, insights in a scalable way. And that, of course, that it's maintainable, that if you make changes, if you have an agile way of updating your data, that you can make changes, etc., in an easy way without interfering or causing downtime in your data delivery. We will also not make data products to make data products. Every data product is backed by a use case, by a business case, so that we have each data product has a value and is relevant, and we don't have a proliferation of data products in our organization where half of them are not used and basically only cost money and effort to maintain them. Let's go back to the case, how the data products were approached in our example company.
Indeed. So in this case study, adopting to a data product approach was really seen as something very beneficial for the organization. So the ERP transition typically is something that creates a lot of friction, so we wanted to make sure that that process goes smoother and less disruptive. So it also allowed the organization to use the data more effectively, really consider it as an asset, be part of their business strategy, increase the value, and really improve the data quality. I think we see that in all our customers. Reliability of data is always a big issue when you have data quality, and you can assure that it will also enable those teams to take more of that ownership and to feel that those actionable insights really mean something for them. So, but before you actually start with it, it is really essential, we said it before, data domains are part of this data product thinking, to define your data domains. So we see here a lot of information on one big slide, but it is about the fact that within an organization you can really split your data into functional areas and then see how that complexity increases from primitive data products, where you really see that within a sales CRM area, we do need to have everything around our customers. We need to have our contact information, our quotes, and you have a parts organization where you need to know exactly what your bill of material, for example, is, and you have the possibility to use that foundational data to have that available or to go more into the consumerized data products, and then in the end to have a more, as we call it, a single point of access services. So we really see that the complexity increases. So you start from curated master and reference data, where you have that parts data, customer assets as the base of your organization. It can also help more in your ERP transition with your migration utilities to set it up, to say, okay, what is my master data from my legacy system and how will it look in my future cloud applications, for example. We move towards the transactional data, historical data, which we need, for example, as well, for compliance reasons, for audit reasons, but also to build up historical information that you need to have also available in the future if you go to the next steps. If you want to have behavior analytics, for example, around your customers, you need to have a lot of historical data available. And so then we move into that contextualized data, where we actually bundle everything around one area into a full set of views upon it, like a customer 360, a product 360, and so on. So, but before we actually do that, I think it's also a good idea that we dig a bit deeper into the anatomy of a data product.
Yep. So, A data product, as mentioned before, has different ports. One on the left side is the input port, and from the input port we get the data in. It's the interface to get the raw data in from the source systems. Or if we look at the bigger ecosystem, it can also consume data from other data products. Typically we set up data product ecosystem with source aligned and consumer aligned data products, where source aligned represent the source, the domain data, and consumer lines are the transformation computational data for particular use cases. These consumer aligned data products will consume then data from different source aligned data products through the input port. The inside of a data product, if we look at how a data product looks like, it's considered as the architectural quantum, a self-deployable, self-contained package that has the infrastructure, the data, and the code all together grouped within that data product. So if we look at the infrastructure, typically using cloud resources, to facilitate the storage and the orchestration and the security principles that exist in an organization. For the data itself, we have the full data pipeline within the data product. So for one example, it's not set in stone how to define your data pipeline. Obviously, one example here is that you go through a classical approach of we have a staging, an intermediate to do some basic transformations, and then a publish layer where you apply your logic, your business logic onto your data. And all that transformation itself is considered as the code, is also part of your data product to get transformations, enrichments, but also if you want to perform quality tests within your data product, you can apply it here. Or if you want to do more fine-grained security principles on your data, it's also part of these policies are also part of your data product. If we look at an example how we set up a data product at a client, we see here that it's using the Google Cloud infrastructure as the infrastructure, obviously, and that we have set up our data through these different stages in a BigQuery setup. The code or the transformations, there we have first of all DBT, which is in the data product, applied on every stage with the knowledge that is needed. And also we have the orchestration in Airflow that runs that code that runs that data pipeline together also with not only the run doing the transformations, but for every stage does quality tests and also store these results of these quality tests in a separate table so it can be consumed by whomever wants it through a port. Coming back to that in a minute. And all of that, as I mentioned before, built on a Google Cloud infrastructure that runs the data products. To make it a bit more specific, so each data product is a GCP project containing all those resources, with obviously not the full orchestration, and so it's centrally managed, but each implementation of that orchestration sits within, or the configuration sits within the scope and the project of that data product. If we look at the other side of the data product, we say we have output ports, and output ports, the most important one, the data output port, make sure that we have an interface towards our consumers so they can consume the data in a standardized way. We want to make sure that we have this standardization throughout the organization, meaning that we define a set of interfaces that can be used for data products. They can be different, of course. We don't say you can only consume data products through a database view. We say what are the use cases we have, what are the preferred mechanisms to interface with that data, and standardize or define these in the architecture. So we have in our example as well tabular, so views and tables, but we have also files, we have events that can be used to communicate with that data in your data product, and through different protocols. You can have GDBC for databases, you can have APIs for REST APIs to get the data out. The possibilities are endless there, but you need to standardize it so that it's clear for your data product consumers how to approach that data. There is not only the data output port, we have possible multiple ports that will help us get more data out of these, or more information out of these data products. And two of them, and two of the most important ones, let's say, are a discovery port and an observability port. The discovery port helps us in sharing the meta information from your data and your data product. It's an interface where data consumers can see who owns this data, what does the data look like, what are the quality results or the quality metrics that are set forward, etc. It's also typically an interface that you can plug in then in your data catalog or your central registry for data, which then on a push mode, so that whenever there is a change on the meta information coming from your data product, it can push it to the central registry, and you always have an up-to-date view on what does this data product look like, what is it doing, etc., etc. Instead of centrally managing this and crawling the data that you might lack information that's not up to date. Observability port is we mentioned before, the observability principle of your data products. You want to know the status, the health of your data product. You want to see, is it still performant? You want to check whether the quality tests that you run or the quality metrics that you set forward are met. So is my data accurate? Is it complete? Is the data fresh, etc.? It gives the trust to your data product consumers that the data they use, they consume, is of good quality, is fresh, is coming from a healthy, performant data product, giving them that insight in this. Now let's have a look at how these ports helped an organization maturing actually their data products and their look how on data, how is data approached.
Yeah, so we will actually showcase another case study from another customer where we had a very successful implementation, and where we actually saw what the benefits are of setting up this output ports. So we will focus really into one specific port here, the data quality output port. So we see on the data product ecosystem, also the data products are related to each other, but we will focus briefly here on that orange flow, specifically on the data quality checks that are being created. So on every pipeline, there is, every time data is refined, refreshed, also those quality checks are being run, and that result is being kept. So in the beginning, we actually store that in a database, in a table, and share that with the organization. But we saw that we could do more, and we standardized it by creating a data quality API. So that extra effort really led to standardization of also other data products, and really to make sure that we had a tool to communicate also with our business stakeholders in a dashboard, an enterprise dashboard, showing what the results are, what are your expectations, and we could start the discussions around SLAs without even mentioning actually what is an SLA, what are your expectations. So it actually eased the way and paved the path to start with a governance setup, taking ownership, and people who saw the benefits of having those output ports in a very standardized way. So this was very successful and it led to even more standardization also on the other data product ports. But is there also a way to have more data guarantees like standardized in this setup?
Yeah, there is, and we typically do this through data product contracts. It's an important part of your data product design and landscape is to make sure that you have formal agreements between your producers, the data product owners, and the data product consumers. For one, it describes how your data product model looks like. If consumers will start to use your data products, they want to know, okay, how is that data that I consume look like? And in the contract, it states that it should keep looking like this until there is a version change or anything, but again, that goes through a formal process. It also defines the quality criteria. As I said, we will test the quality of the data in the data product, but the contract says to what it should meet. If we say, okay, we want to have an accuracy of X percentage, or we want the data freshness that it's reloaded every hour, this is stated in the data contract as well, and then validated by the tests that we run. The scheduling is the same as the frequency, so we want to make sure that we define within the contract how many times this data pipeline, this data product will be refreshed. And it also defines the security and the access permissions. Who can, as an owner, you can define who can see that data, who can view and query that data, and to what is the data labeled as from a security, from a classification perspective. Is this privacy sensitive data, or to meet to other GDPR criteria, for example, that can also be mentioned in the contract, so consumers know, okay, this is this level of security on the data, and I'm not allowed, or I am allowed to see it, which is then provisioned again through security mechanism, security principles in your organization.
Yeah, so if we go back now to our previous customer, it is really those data contracts which are being set up as templates. They were really seen as a standardization catalyst. So it was the key of really making those data products work and to scale development, because it enabled us to have a lot of data domain teams to run in parallel and have a lot of reusable objects available. So it is really something that you have to keep in mind, that if you want to have consistent quality and efficient governance, you have to go towards standardization. I think we will repeat it probably a couple of times, so we're a big fan of it. I think we probably all are, that we want to have redundancy on repeatable tasks and so on. So it is really necessary to have it, but without an infrastructure and a platform, of course, it becomes a bit difficult to do.
Yeah, if we talk about standardization, obviously, if we leave it to that everybody or every team or even a central team creates the data products manually every time, we probably will not meet that standardization. So therefore, a big or important part or component for your data product ecosystem, and when you scale up, in your scale up phase, is to build out a platform. We see the platform as the enabler for data products, as the enabler for your ecosystem, your data product ecosystem. And it serves also a way as a self-service platform. You allow your users to access that platform and to do certain tasks on this. And the platform itself will make sure that it happens within the standards, the governance, and the architecture of your organization or your IT organization. So if we look at a bit more the details of the platform, as I mentioned, it is advocating the standardized or implementing even the standardized architecture. And it's also abstracting away the technology. So the one purpose there is that users, less tech-savvy users, can use a data platform without having to worry about technical cloud configuration or engineering tasks. So the platform will offer data services as such. For example, storage, orchestration, visualization, all these services that are needed to build a use case are offered without having the need of a too deep technology knowledge. It automates a lot of the tasks for the users and making sure in that way that we have a secure and compliance approach to our data in the organization. By automating, we also have a cost reduction. We scale the technology to the needs of the data and the data products instead of in a manual way overscaling things that are costly and or not cost efficient. So that also, of course, the platform ensures a good performance of our data products and allows us to scale that ecosystem of data products. And as a summary somewhat, it is seen as the data product factory. It creates in an automated way these data products and manages them, deploys them, monitors them end to end so that users can focus on making the data products themselves, adding logic or consuming them to serve their use case. Now, let's have a closer look at a data platform we created at Solita. Is this again as the previous example of the data product that you saw? This was this part, of course, and I'll take a more high-level look at the platform. Same, it's built on a GCP, and we created different planes on this platform. And so, first of all, you have the infrastructure plane, which uses the standardized technology components that exist in an organization. So for example, GitLab Jenkins to make your CI/CD, to automate your deployments, and for the transformations, it's on Google, it's on GCP, so it is with BigQuery, with dbt, and with Airflow or Composer to make sure that these data pipelines can be built in these data products. The control plane is the level on top of this that will combine all these resources and makes that abstraction. And so there we have a couple of functionalities, is making sure that data products are defined within templates first so that you can choose or select as a user a template, a particular template that is serving your use case. A template can be, I want to build a report, so I need a data product template that serves that need. I have a machine learning model I want to train and deploy, that will be a different template. The contract we spoke about earlier, it's an agreement, but it's not a technical asset. So we want to translate that contract into a specifications file that makes sure that whatever was stated in the contract is also actually implemented in these data products. And then we also have these workflows that create all these, that bundle these assets that creates these data products and that make them available for, first of all, your developer or your data engineer, that person can only focus on applying the transformation logic. So that it's all the rest, all the resources, all the infrastructure and storages, etc., is already provisioned automatically through this workflow. And the developer gets a data product ready to start the development and handle the use case. We also have automatic releases and quality tests that I mentioned before. Security the platform makes sure that the security policies are implemented correctly on the data products and that the orchestration is being done not only within the data product but also on the ecosystem. If you require that if you have data products consuming from other data products, you also want to make sure that that happens in a particular sequence, in a particular time frame. This is also foreseen by the platform. Then the analytical plane hosts the actual data products. that are being used by the consumption side for the different patterns that Annelies mentioned before. And overarching the whole platform, obviously we have a governance layer where we go a bit broader than the traditional data governance, in the sense that it has a data product provider interface where business teams, domains can go and start these workflows to create the data products without having to go deeply into the cloud portal or plane itself. The data catalog is the classical data catalog with all the features that exist on the market. The data product marketplace is a more higher level, or a level on top of the data catalog, that opens the catalog towards the business and the less data savvy teams, that people can go there and see okay, what data products exist, what do they mean, in a non-technical way. So it's a bit as you go to Amazon, that you see the products from a user perspective, from a client customer perspective, and then can buy them and understand what it is and with what properties it comes. So that's the marketplace service, really to encourage, to enable that data product usage within your organization. And the last part is that you can have the access management arranged also for data product owners, that they can control themselves, who can access and in a dynamic way add and revoke accesses to data products. This was a bit the theory, what data products were, how the platform is helping us, how data contracts are look like. But of course, we also touched with the real life case. But now it's important, and maybe the main question is, how do we start this? How do we build our first data product and scale eventually towards this larger ecosystem that we want to have? And Annelies will tell you all about it.
So indeed, we oops, it's doesn't want to work anymore. So we do it like this. So yeah, a step-by-step approach that is proven to work. We have at Solita tried it at different customers to have that really building that data product ecosystem. So how do we actually get to it? So we typically break it down in 4 big blocks, 4 key phases, so to say, where we first do a ramp-up phase, where we sit together and define the goals. Also, do we know already what are your resources? What is happening? Ja, maar dat zit hier toch in?
Ja, het is.
We will be back soon. So yeah, let's recap. So we have 4 key phases that we typically tackle. Also, we kick it off. We want to know exactly what the the goals are, what is your product vision, what do you want to reach with it, do we need to already take into consideration how we are going to communicate it, what do we need to do with it. And then we step into data product sprints. Here we will identify all the first candidates of the data products. So we run sprints from a very experimental prototype where we iterate and really make that into real life cases so that we also get an understanding that we meet all the requirements that that data product should actually meet in the end. So we will run a lot of those data product sprints, so we get away from all the assumptions we take in the beginning and get really into a working solution in the end. Then we will do some process mapping where we will develop those frameworks, processes that also Maarten mentioned earlier, to really make sure that the things around it really are in place and make it easy for the organization to get to work with it and get also the framework that will support scalability and adaptability in the organization. And then in the end, of course, not in the end, it's part of the whole iteration. So it is an iterative approach. We repeat that constantly. We also tackle the data product platform, which is the technical foundation needed to make sure that we have those templates, guidelines, and so on available, and have an UI so we know what the marketplace of the data products in the end will look like. So if we, let's see if that works again. Yes. So if we go back to that big picture we had originally, let's see if we do a kickoff with our organization. What about having a customer 360 as a product vision in the end? So we aim very big, but what do we need to do to have that available? And what do we want to, what's the goal of it? So typically we want to consolidate all that customer data into one view and really make sure that we understand our customer behavior, its preferences, its patterns, so we can have a tailor-made solution and then improve also that customer satisfaction in the end. So, but we have to, of course, while we are depicting the data product vision, also think about, do we already know any challenges that we will come across? Can we state them up front? Do we have all that data available already? We are in an ERP transition, so the answer probably will be no. We still are also in a migration process. What about data quality? How did we know our customers? Did we have one single point of truth in the past? Probably not, but how can we improve that and how can we ensure that our future data product really has that data quality? Do we have that technology to have those data products? So this is part of the journey towards those guidelines and the platform. And also, what do we need in the organization so everybody understands what the impact will be and also what the ownership of that data product will really mean in their department. We are talking here about customer data, so then never we can forget about some privacy rights and assure that we really have a transparent usage of that data as well. So let's go into more details about one data product sprint. How do we tackle it as Solita, and how do we really see it from a design point of view, how we build and test the prototype in a very short focus. We try to time box it in a very short time, 10 days. What can we do? How can we create a prototype? And how can we then use that as the first step to iterate to the next phases and really make that something scalable? So we kick it off and we say, okay, we will have a use case selection. So we had a product vision, customer 360. What do we need? we have no other choice, then we have to have some customer master data here available. So we will have an introduction to how we will set up the sprint. We will do some review around what exactly is it that we want to do, how are we going to plan it, what's our schedule, do we know the metrics that will already be part of that first prototype. Do we have a key metric? How can we have accurate data, for example? And then really go into the problem statement as such and really see, okay, how can we now start this and kick it off? During that first day, we will also try to fill in as much as possible a template that will be a structured approach. You will see throughout this data product sprint that we have a lot of templates available, but we define together with our customers what is the strategic target outcome that you want to reach, and do we know already the key metric of this to begin with. You will have more metrics as you scale and you grow, but what about, for example, in this case, customer data accuracy or a completeness score? Or when do we know that what we had, even if it's only a couple of rows of data from our source systems, how do we know that it's complete? How can we make sure that those output ports also really work? So we create a plan and we will iterate on it. It's not that from day one you will be able to fill in everything here. But it's a template that is really there, and it demonstrates then also the value of that master data product. It is a life cycle, so we will come to that a couple of times. So you start with the business case, what you do if you want to build it, publish, maintain, discover, and consume. So it's a whole life cycle that will come back a couple of times and a lot of iterations. So one day we have chosen our use case. Then we have our data product vision of this specific one, the customer master data. So we will start with drafting how that data product creation flow should look like in the organization. So we will have the first set of looking at the architecture. Do we know already which tools we will use, or are we still having some manual stuff still in between? Do we have some assumptions? Do we have some risks, some gaps? We try to put it all together. We have some meetings with the correct people and try to bundle it as much as possible. So in case of our customer master data, also we know that we have a lot of new data sources. In the past, we only had one legacy customer data source that was delivering it. So we will have now plenty of those. So we have to have a lot of source-aligned data products as a start to be able to build that into that consumer-aligned customer master data product. We already know that we will have other data products that will consume that data, because if we go from the complexity towards that customer 360, we will move towards what is the behavior of our customers. Then we need a lot of historical data. So also our sales orders will have to be linked to our customer master data. So we can already consume that data as well. You can have some preliminary reports to see what came out of that data product. So we know that maybe we will store it as well somewhere, and we have maybe an API or something else to move it back to, for example, back to Sales Cloud when we move forward and have, for example, customer specific calculations done that are important to have, for example, in a Sales Cloud. So this is a very high level, this is already pretty detailed, but in the first day you draw what you know, what are the sources, where do you want to go to, and what do we know that you consume. So we also are going to have a business case card. We will say, okay, what is it now that this customer master data is all about? What is the business problem that we know today? So we know that data will be scattered and we will need a unified view upon our customer data. We have duplicate records today. It causes inconsistencies and so on. So what do we know from the other parts already? We fill it in, otherwise it will be in the next iteration that we try to complete that. Do we know already why we want it, or what it will prove to the organization? Will it also help us to have for our growth? Do we have a technical feasibility in place? Do we know what is needed for this? So eventually, we would like to have a customer data platform, for example. What do we need to go to that? So there's also an organizational part of it. So it's not just a technical shift, as we mentioned. No, it's also social culture. So we also have learning opportunities in the organization. So what do we know about that? How do we adapt that in the organization? And then also, how does it fit in our strategic impact? So we have a product vision. We have started to draw some things. We know what the problem statement is. So from day 3 to 9, we typically are going to explore some more details around it. Technically, from a roles perspective, the team perspective, the process, and then how that life cycle of that data product typically should look like to make sure that we can build a data product type. So we have those principles and guidelines. So Maarten mentioned what is a data product all about. We need to have a couple of principles in place. What does that mean then for our customer master data product to be discoverable, for example? How do we know? We want to aim already for a prototype? Of course, that's also trustworthy. To get to that, we need to have also the first steps towards gathering also metadata around it. So this is a step forward to help you by filling in and thinking about what it really means for every data product. Data product typically is a life cycle. It takes some time to really be consumable and also be accessible by all those stakeholders. But it has in those parts a couple of key activities and stakeholders that we know already today that we need to get along, and we have to inform them what their responsibilities will be. So if we know what the deliverables would be, we start with that by creating those. And in this initial prototype, we will have some primary systems that we want to integrate and see what the outcome will be, to help really with an example on getting the organization to get along and get that first grip of what these data products are. So no data product without any team and roles. So not only we have the technical people or the data producers, but we have also some data stewards. Data governance is very important. So where do we see that people need to be involved? So we have in every part of the life cycle, we also see who will be the most important teams to involve. So this is from very high level perspective, some templates that will ease that process. And then we will start with a technical design around this prototype. So in this case, we have again this GCP environment. So we will have the insights of the data product, or we will already create it for the first data product, and then of course reuse that in the future, because this is, of course, the standardization we want to go to. So not everything will be there from day one, but if we want to decrease our cognitive load, we have to make sure that we start with it as soon as possible and really go with, in this case where we use DBT, have those models available, set the standards for what you want to test, and so on, that you really have that in place and that you help your data engineers, your platform engineers with that environment. So this is the technical design, and then we will also start already with the first preliminary data contract. So it's very limited. No, we will first start maybe with a couple of columns from a customer, or what do we want, its name, its ID, what is the frequency we want, what is the source, other things we know at that point in time, we will already add it in the data contract, and so we can version that and really use that and really iterate on it every time we add new sources and new requirements to it. So this is our prototype. So then on day 10, we will share that. We will see, okay, what have we learned for it and what do we need to do now to get to that next step to really build a viable data product for a customer. So we will set a roadmap for the next steps. So in this case, typically it will be that we have to do more integration of data, that we have to adapt also some privacy rules, we have to put some security in place, and this is then the outcome of the data product. We present it, we gather some feedback, and we loop it. So this is how we iterate on it and really make that something that everybody that needs to be involved is involved from the beginning, and that you can eventually go really into parallel teams that build those data products together. So if we now wrap it a bit up, what are the key takeaways of this crash course? I would really say that standardization is crucial, is key, that if we want to scale it, we have to have standardized, not only standardized interfaces, but we have to standardize everything around our data ports, the data product, and we have to make sure that we can have those repeatable development processes really limited, that we create things all over again, like we did in the past. You didn't know anymore who was responsible for something, so then you said, okay, I'm going to create it myself once again. So this is something we want to avoid. Ownership is crucial. So also in that process, the data product development process, I think it's crucial that we have also these governance policies in place. We train the people correctly. We are not afraid of change management, and that we choose the right technology for the right purpose and not just because it's nice to have. So it is really a process. It's a huge iterative work. As you see, it's a very small picture, but it's detailed steps in all the things that you can come across when iterating on data products. And then to make that really possible, that automated data platform is something. You will not have a full automated data platform from the beginning. It's something that grows. You start with some guidelines, you add some templates to it, you move towards service-oriented development until you have all those capabilities in place. And so your cognitive load will decrease and your development processes will be scalable in the end. So to have that focus on business value, I think is one of the crucial things. and do not to forget that only build use case driven data products. Don't just build whatever centralized because you thought maybe that is something nice to have, because once you have the need for it, you will see that it's not sufficient and you have to start all over again. So then, just let me to thank you very much for your attention, and then I do hope that we have lots of questions online, I don't know, and then here on site we will also see if there's anybody who has a question.
Okay, maybe let's start here on site. Are there people on site who have a question or who has a question? Yes, there. Hello. Wait 1 second.
Okay, thank you. Actually, I see on the slides that you mentioned data quality in the product. Obviously, this process of, let's say, checking data quality is coming back in every data product. How do you see this? Is there some data quality engine that you have within the framework, or how do you implement that? Because I think it needs to be iterated in different products. How do you approach that?
Yeah. So there are two aspects to this. You have the quality that is being, the quality rules that are being provided by the data product owner, let's say, or the larger business around it that says, okay, these we expect at least of our data to meet these standards. And then it is the platform team has an engine indeed, as you say. If we put it concretely on the case we presented, it is DBT comes with a set of out-of-the-box package that offers the most standard tests. Do I have nullable fields? Is my data complete? Is my data accurate? All these aspects you can say, I automatically implement these in each data product, and these results are then within each run. DBT will do its actual transformations that you require and then performs the tests between each stage, stores these results, and then those results can then be interpreted if by some rules, some business rules. If good, you continue. If not, somebody is notified to address these quality issues. So yes, there is a framework where we try to automate as much as possible, and obviously there are some custom implementations. If you have logic tests that you want to check, you can use either DBT or another framework within your data product. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, someone else from the audience here?
Back.
Who have, in the back, yes.
Thank you. I saw on the consumption layer, you give some examples of potential at the end. Are there some topics where you would steer clear of using data products, where you say, okay, I would not use data products in the consumption layer? And on the other hand, what are the more optimal use cases for data products in the consumption layer?
The end goal is to have your full data landscape using data products and all consumption patterns being defined on data product. So let's say typically you start with the dashboarding. You have your reporting tools that consume data from data products. But if you go to other use cases, if it are then machine learning, you can perfectly also fit it into data products, where you get the data from your sources, train your models, optimize your models, publish your models, and then your data product becomes an endpoint for your machine learning model. You can also have more ad hoc or data exploration use cases where you offer, you do your transformations on your data and you get an interface on your data where users can query the data just to see what does this data mean, what insights can it bring to me. So there is no real, domain where we only use data products and another domain where you don't use data products. It's also you typically in an organization go it's a process of time. I will not put an exact timing on when to go from your first until all your data is in data products, but you shift towards data products and you little by little start to create for all use cases data products where you maybe start with the low-hanging fruit, where it's more easy, and then grow towards all your use cases for data products.
Yeah, I also think that with the ease of the data contracts, so you can have one data product with different output ports that you say, okay, for this I have, so for example, on customer information, I have information in a dashboard, but I also have an output. I have a frequency that I have to update, for example. I'm calculating as well a marketing quality lead, for example, or sales quality lead. I want to have that also available in my sales clouds. So it can be from that same data product, but then you say, okay, I have a data contract which really says this is only what I need to do with this frequency. I have to update it, then probably through REST API. But I have also the full-blown data product available for querying in a dashboard. So that's also possible. So you're not limited to one use case or one output for one data product. But that is, of course, something that you keep in mind and can grow over time. And that with the owners, you discuss that I have also another use case, and then it's a matter of finding that balance. Is it better to create something specifically on top of an existing data product with a subset, or do I really keep that within that data product and I tackle it with another contract? So that's something that depends a bit from case to case.
Okay, someone else from the audience? Yes, in the back.
Yeah, as the oldest participant, I think I should raise a question as well. Thank you for inviting me and congratulations with your presentation.
Thank
in fact, I'm already sometime in contact with Solita because I have a patent for a health app based on AI and blockchain, which is written, I wrote together with the chief engineer of IMEC and the professor of VUB. My question is, did you do anything so far in health? Because when I wrote that patent beginning in the 2021, I thought that after Corona, everybody should jump on me because we have all these stupidities on our smartphone, but we don't have anything that protects and alarms us when with our health something is going wrong. So my question is, would that be a feature or a project which attracts Solita to develop and launch?
We have, just to maybe start on the first, we have health cases or expertise in health. We're a Finnish company, and we actually built the Corona app for the Finnish government, and many other cases as well. I'm not sales, so I'll gladly refer you to our sales to get all the references in health. But there are a lot. To come to maybe the practical question, yes, the data products. It's also not industry bounded. So I think what is also an advantage here is that you can build the data products and include the industry standards. We talked about mainly here with the customer example about GDPR and etc. For health, there are many others and many more complex standards that you need to meet when it comes to data. That's perfectly feasible to also apply these on data products, and the fact that you can that you have a decoupled, loosely coupled data artifacts. Is it possible to apply these rules or these checks on the data product? Yeah.
Well, why so much has been developed for Corona, I think there is a tremendous amount already of software developed, which can be combined and integrated with each other so that we finally come to an app that we can distribute worldwide, because we have all these stupidities on our smartphone, but we have nothing protecting the most important aspect of our life, being our health.
Yep, but it's perfectly feasible.
The authorities are not so a little bit deaf, because I met already 2 times our Minister of Health, Van Brugge, who is an economist of Leuven like me, where I was even professor. He says yes, 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 but he doesn't move. But anyway, he will move.
And we can help you with the
Certainly
data.
Sorry that we join forces with you.
Of course, of course.
Well, I think it's all about prototyping and then see how scalable it really is, no, to see if it's a viable product. Yeah.
I saw that we also had a lot of questions online. We will not be able to answer them all, sadly enough, but I think we will pick some very interesting ones now, and for those who asked the question online and didn't get an answer, you will probably get an answer from us very soon in your mailbox. Yes, there's another one there.
These online questions, will they be summarized so we can take part of the answer for these questions? Are very interesting.
Sorry, if you're interested, yes, indeed, we can give you a summarize of those questions. Also for the people online, if you're interested on those answers, please let us know, and we will make sure that you will also receive a summarize of that. Good. First question. Are data domains, data products, one-to-one linked with business capabilities? And connected to that question, defining a data product, is it beneficial to start from a business architecture perspective, or rather at the start of a technical information perspective?
Well, I think it should be starting from a business perspective. No? So it's the business value that you want to create out of it, no? And the technology is just only a part of it. No? So you don't start from the technology only, no? It's just a part of it. Are data products and domains tied one-on-one? No, that's not true. So you will see that in the lowest level of the maturity or the complexity of data products, no, it's pretty easy. You will have customer data will fall under CRM data. But the moment you start more towards mixing those things and going into 360, a customer 360, for example, can also include how can I increase my product development so I can really have those customer patterns. I know I'm on top of it, and I can propose to my customers also new products. So it overlaps, but it's all about what are the foundational data products, where does that ownership really lie? And those people are really responsible for setting those security standards and saying, okay, this department can also use my data, but for example, it will only be from one perspective. So they will not be able to see prospects if it's a sales department or a finance department which wants to know customers who have bought already something. So this is the complexity, of course, increases, and you will see also that complexity on ownership will also increase, and that is something that you will see along the way, or when you have more data products, to have clear discussions on ownership and really know, okay, yes, I do see that this is actually part of my department, but you will also have more subdomains, the more your complexity will grow.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for your answer. Another question that raised, if you access several data products coming from various source systems and you transform them, how do you go about the data management part of this to ensure that these changes are stored for reconciliation purposes and for other people to see use?
So data management is this part of the governance that we implement and the platform. It's a combination that we try to set forward there, so that governance policies are enforced automatically, so that we make sure that data storage and history, for example, are all managed within the data product, and set forward by the templates or the contracts, making sure that we have the correct data at the correct time for the correct consumers. What we if you talk multiple, what we try to also do is maybe decouple these into, I explained it briefly, the source and the consumer aligned. So source aligned is more towards a source domain, but a source application as well, so that you can have your source application and your source aligned data product acting as a sort of data interface on that application, and then serving from there on other more consuming aligned data products. And in this way, they're decoupled and are also better manageable, have their own life cycle, have their own governance policies, have their own observability, and we can track potential issues faster instead of having the classical monolith or not too fine-grained data product.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Next question. In the presentation here, you used the case with Google Cloud Infra. Do we only support Google Cloud Infra, or are we open to implement any other cloud infra? And next to that, is it even possible to also work something out with Databricks?
Absolutely. It is. This was one example. We also have cases at Solita where we used Azure to start with, where we used Snowflake as the data warehouse database. So the main focus, or the most important, maybe as a takeaway as well, is that it's not about the technology, it's about the organization. So with data products, you want to scale your organization regardless of the technology. So also from Solita perspective, if we help our customers, we will not enforce a certain technology. Usually the technology is already there, and we will work with that technology, because data products and the decentralized data ownership approach allows you to have whatever technology you want, even on-prem, if that would be needed, or that would be a case with an organization.
Okay, perfect. And I think we have time for one more question.
Yes.
With these levels of data products, do you present all levels to the users, or are some products only used as input for higher levels and only those higher levels are presented?
Yeah, you do have data products that are just part of the ecosystem and are serving other data products. So what you will do then typically is have some observability ports on it, but your pure data output port will be to be consumed by another data product. So it's perfectly fine. Also, not everything is to be consumed. So you have a whole level, especially also the source aligned. What you also have, we have not really touched upon it. Often what you have in between are, for example, aggregate data products, where you create from different sources an aggregation that's then being used, for example, in a consumer-aligned data product for management reporting of some things like that. So it is perfectly possible to have that in your ecosystem.
To add to that, it's supporting one of the principles of reusability.
Yeah.
This technical layer, this aggregate data products, is something that we see. An example, you have let's call it for this particular example, a customer domain and a sales domain. What you typically want to do is the orders per customer, so you want to have an aggregate there, because that is used in many different consumer cases. You want to have financial reporting, but you want to have maybe churn prediction or segmentation, totally different use cases, consumer cases, but all using that same customer order combination. And you want, for usability perspectives, aggregate at one time. But that is a technical component, so it might divert a bit from our role. You need, every data product needs to have a business value or a value. Here we say it has a value, it has a technical value, it has a performance, cost, efficiency value, but not per se. So it's the exception that proves the rule, let's say.
Okay, perfect. Then I only have one thing to say left, or one thing left, and that's to thank you very hard for all the presentation and cases you presented here. And for the followers online, if you have any more questions after this Q&A, don't hesitate to contact us, and we will reach out as soon as possible. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.